Welcome back to It's Never Too Late to Date. It's a dating channel that talks about dating after the age of 60. This channel is both for men and women, so hopefully I will cover some subjects that are important to all of us. And today we're going to talk about one thing in particular, and that is how to ditch the list that we normally have when we're dating. And we've got this checklist of all these things that we want in that person that we're looking for. And we go out on dates and we've got that list in our head. And that's what's kind of focusing on how we get focused on what our date's going to be like. And I want to talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. But first I wanted to talk, just mentions we've got 3 types of single people. We've got single people over 60 who do not want to date. They've decided for whatever reason, whether it's bad experience or they enjoy their independence and they don't want anybody else in their life, for whatever reason, they're just not going to date. And just know if you're in that category right now, it's always changing. I have friends who said, nope, never going to date, and then they meet somebody. Or then they change their mind and decide, well, you know what, I really would like to have a companion, and that changes. The second person is the person that wants to date, but they can't find anybody to date. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to look. They haven't tried online dating. They don't go out that much. So they're trying to figure out, how do I meet somebody? That's the second type. Third type of person is somebody who is dating. They've either gone online or they are very active out in their community and they're meeting people all the time, but they can't quite seem to find success as far as meeting anybody that they think fits what they're looking for. And so today, that is the category that we're going to be talking about. It's that third person, that third type of person, single person who is dating and not, or they don't think they're meeting quality people. And so I want to kind of change that. And one of the reasons I decided to do this video is because I deal with a lot of my friends who are just very, very critical of people in the opposite sex. I'm not just talking about women, but men also. They've got a list of reasons that a woman or a man doesn't qualify for what they're looking for. And so they're always looking at the negative. They're always looking at the little nitpicky things. And sometimes there's something else behind that. And I'm not a counselor, and unless I sit down and talk with somebody for a long period of time, could I even figure out really what the real problem is. But there are a lot of people who are so nitpicky about things that in the long run, in the big picture of things, is not going to make a lot of difference. And so this one thing that I want to share with you today, and it's not going to take too long, this isn't a real long video, but first thing is ditch your list. Get rid of that list, because what happens when you sit down at a date or on a date and you've got this list, it's almost like you're interviewing somebody. It's really, when you've got all this in your head, these items that you're wanting to find out about this person, you're not relaxed. You're not letting the date flow. You're not, you're not learning much about the other person, except for those things that you're asking them. And you don't want your dates to turn out like an interview. And you wouldn't like it if you felt that somebody was interviewing you when you sit down to have coffee or lunch with somebody that you've never met before. There's a way to ask questions, but you want to ask general questions that make the conversation flow. So ditch the list, number one thing. And then number 2, this is the thing that I've started talking to some of my friends about this, and I've used this myself, and that is when you sit down at a date, you've got your introductions out of the way, and you're asking general questions of them. The thing that you want to look for is, how do they make you feel? When you're there with them, are they respectful? Do they, answer questions, or by answer the questions, by general questions, are they communicating in a way that makes you feel respected? Do you feel like you laugh? Are you relaxed? Does this person make you laugh? And do they bring out a side of you that makes you feel good about yourself? And there's just a few points, and I want to make sure that I don't leave anything out. So let me just check my notes. You want to make sure that you're laughing together and that you feel desired when you're in their presence, and that you're more energized, or are you less energized communicating with that person, or when you're spending time with that person? And what side of you does that person bring out? Because whatever side that person brings out of you is how you're going to be in that relationship in the future. And so you want to make sure that you've got kind of that feeling is big. It makes how else to explain it? If you are energized by somebody, they make you laugh, you feel good in their presence, that's a big deal. And that checklist isn't going to mean anything to you. Now, it may take you more than one date to determine these things that we just talked about, how they make you feel, because sometimes on that first date, you're nervous, they're nervous. You've never met before, so it's hard to know what to ask without interviewing. And we'll talk about that in a later video. But for the most part, just kind of an example, when David and I met on our first date, and we met online, I mentioned this before, we had both had information in our profiles that were of interest to each other. So when we first sat down, and we met for wine, when we first sat down, those things were really in front of our minds, as far as I'm concerned, at least for me, and it seemed to be the same for him. We both had talked about hiking. We had both talked about being outdoors. We're both active, all that. So our conversation actually automatically flowed that way. And I felt I was listened to. And hopefully he felt he was listened to, because we're still together. And it just flowed from there. And so whether you meet online or whether you're meeting people out and about doing your regular things, you're going to have a chance to just chat a little bit with each other before you have that first date. And even if you don't, you can ask general questions like, and sometimes I'll start a conversation, I really love to go on hikes, or I like being near the water. Are you a water person, or do you feel energized by something else? And just maybe mention something about yourself first, and then put the question to them as to what are they interested in. And just be relaxed about it. I will tell you a story. A friend of mine called me, actually texted me the other day, and wanted my opinion on a situation that she just went through. She met a guy when she was in a group of people. At the time, she thought the guy was with somebody else. No big deal. And she was herself. She was her natural, fun-loving self. And the guy started showing attraction to her, showing that he was attracted to her. And she didn't know what to do with that. And then after that, she found out that he was not with the other person she thought he was with, that he was single and he was free. And after finding that out, it was hard for her to be normal around him. That's natural behavior. But think about that. When you're around people and you don't feel like there's any reason to not be yourself, and you're just out hanging out and whatever, it goes so much better, and you're so much more attractive to other people if you can just maintain that way of being yourself. No matter whether you're on a face-to-face date, you have to look at it that I'm just meeting somebody new. I don't know anything about this person. I don't even know if this is the right person for me or not. So I'm just going to make an introduction or have fun with this and just make a new friend. We don't always connect with everybody that we meet, and it's the same with your dating. We take it so seriously, and we get so nervous, and we are so much inside our heads that we cannot be our normal selves. And so that's the last thing I want to say on this is when you do go out, ditch the checklist, relax, and remember, you're just meeting a new friend. Relax with it. And then think about those things that we talked about. Do you laugh? Does he make you feel respected? Are you energized when you're in that person's presence? And can you, do you feel good after the interaction on that first date? And from there, you'll be able to determine whether to take it to a second date or not, and then on from there. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to comment in the comment section. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.